What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to Wake Up Barstool. It's time for our favorite segment every single week. That is the Football G-Spot with Jon Gruden and Greg Olsen. Take it away, boys.
Got me feeling icy.
I love football. Knock on wood if you're with me, everybody.
Can I finish my point?
All right, welcome in, Greg, Coach. And the number one, we thought it would be what the number one thing everyone was talking about this morning would be the Bills Chiefs, but I think it's shifted due to a late injury in the Sunday night game, 7:40 left in the game. The Commanders trailing the Seahawks 38-7. Brutal injury to Jaden Daniels. Oh, we're showing it. Are we going to get criticized for gratuitous grossness here? A real ugly injury. Rolling down, falls down, dislocates his elbow. That's been confirmed. We're just showing it. We're just showing it.
Oh, God.
We don't want to show it. So, and that's a clip we're showing. We got T-Bob laughing in the background. We'll delete that part out. So, everyone is going at Dan Quinn. 38-7 in the game. They said, what's he doing in there? Coach, I'm going to start with you. I don't know if you've been in exact similar. I assume you have. What are your thoughts here on him still being in the game?
Well, a couple thoughts, Dave. Number one, it is 38-7 with 7 minutes left. You probably should take the guy out of the game, given the fact that he's already been hurt twice. There is a thought, however, that Daniels and this offense, they've got to come together and find some kind of identity. Let's get them a couple completions, maybe get them a couple mop-up touchdowns, and maybe get this offense going. They have just not looked good at all. Daniels is scrambling on almost every single drop-back pass. I would have taken him out given the circumstances of the game, but I know deep down Cliff Kingsbury and the Commander staff probably wanted to generate a little bit of confidence, try to get some positive momentum for this offense that has really disappeared.
Greg?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been in many games where we were on the wrong side of the scoreboard, and you find yourself in the fourth quarter and you start looking at the clock and you're saying, all right, how long am I going to be in here? If I am in here, my expectation is I got to play hard. I got to compete. You know, what you put on film is what you are. That's a kind of a big kind of narrative around the league amongst the players. I hate second guessing coaches in these situations. I think it's a lose-lose. I think obviously if they knew he was going to get hurt, they would have taken him out of there. He could have gotten hurt in the third quarter. He could have gotten hurt and the score was 14-7. So it's so hard in the NFL to make the call on when you're going to take guys out of a competitive game. I think you've scored 7 points up to that point. You're trying, to coach's point, you're trying to put together something positive, something at the end of the game to go into the, locker room, to go into the next week, to build off of. You hear coaches say it all the time. I've been in those huddles. I've been in those locker rooms where it's like, hey, we are going to play for 4 quarters regardless of the score, and we're going to try to build as much as we can out of each opportunity. There was a lot of starters on the other side. On Seattle, there was a lot of starters who were playing as well. So I don't know. I have a really hard time second guessing coaches in the moment, especially a struggling offense that's trying to get a young quarterback and a scheme and young receivers, beat up roster, trying to get some continuity and find a little bit rhythm, as they close that game out.
Yeah, I agree with you, Greg, and I can't criticize a coach in that situation because they have bigger, well, they don't have bigger issues now that he got hurt, but they really weren't playing well leading up to it. So you got to get them going. He's coming off an injury. He's your whole team. I think the bigger issue is what Coach Gruden was just saying. He's running all the time, and he's a fragile guy in the sense, not big, skinny, and if he's not going to get hurt on that play, the way Washington is going, he's going to get hurt at some point again because he's taken a million hits. Sure, you can take him out, but I remember Wes Welker got hurt. Belichick never took teams out. Wes Welker got hurt on a meaningless blowout. They were ahead heading into the playoffs. To a degree, I think you got to play football. Maybe you get a little more conservative, but that team was already going to be on our loser board heading into today, regardless if he got hurt, because they had huge expectations, and they've been pretty bad. That leads us into the winners and losers of the week. Coach, I know you are a Packers guy. We've sat here, and you've told me how, the Packers are the best team in the league and this and that, and then you turn around. They've lost to Cleveland. They've lost to Carolina. Are they still one of your Super Bowl favorites, Coach?
Well, I don't know, Dave. After losing Tucker Kraft, that is a big blow to the Packers. That was a disappointing outcome. They were 13.5-point favorites. I can't explain what is going on in the NFL. I mean, the Lions coming off a bye, the Packers both in the same division. They just don't look good in Green Bay yesterday at all. And I give Carolina credit. They came in with a ball control offense, and they just ran the clock and won the game of field position, and they got enough out of their field goal kicker. But Green Bay, you're right, Dave. They ticked me off basically yesterday. I was shocked at their inability to get anything going on offense. And I'm telling you, losing Kraft is big, man, because he bails them out in a lot of situations, and he's a good blocker. Some of the things he doesn't even show up on the stat sheet. But that was a horrific loss for
Greg,
Green Bay.
you called the game. I mean, people were getting mad at me because I said Drake may have him way ahead of Jordan Love on my big board of QB rankings. Greg, what'd you think? You called the game.
Yeah, I mean, it played out exactly the way Carolina needed it to play out to pull a game like that off. And it was to play limited possessions, play ball control. They made the decision. They won the toss. They took the ball, kept Green Bay on the sideline. Now, part of that was the wind and the weather, and it was kind of a crazy day wind-wise, and the kicking and the passing game was a bit kind of disjointed. But it was Green Bay touched the ball 8 times, didn't punt, and scored 13 points. It's just I think they need to put the game more in Jordan Love's hands. They are a good passing offense going into that game. I had Jordan Love as a top 5 guy through the first half of the year. He was a top 5 quarterback in the league this season. And I think they need to let him do more. I think he's a really talented guy. I think he can sling it all over. I think they've got young, talented wide receivers. I agree. Tucker Kraft going down is just devastating. That was such a fluke, random play. He was the second puller and counter, coach, and the defensive end comes out and takes out the guard's legs. And as the guard gets his legs kicked up, he kicks the side of Kraft's knee. And, you know, you heard LaFleur after the game say it didn't look good. It obviously didn't look good in person, but yeah, that was a shock. You know, we went into the game saying, all right, how does Carolina just keep it close? And then next thing you know, not only do they keep it close, they make just enough plays there at the end. Rico Dowdle is a dude. He is a man. He is everything you want your back to be if you're going to be a ball control, 30 touch a game type of a running team. He is a huge difference maker. Getting back to him being the focal point of that Carolina offense was a big move. But
I almost had to do a double take.
They got to score. They got to be able to move the ball and then finish in the red zone.
I had to do a double take when we did this graphic. I think if we asked most Americans, what is Carolina 5-4? They would have looked at you like you're nuts. One of the sneakiest 5-4 teams. I mean, even the way we're talking about them in this game, like, well, the Packers didn't show up. Everything went against them. They got to do this. We're giving almost no respect to a Carolina team that's 5-4 in this league.
No, I'm giving him a ton. I think Canales was brilliant in his game strategy. I think the way he laid the game out, connecting his offensive strategy with special teams taking the ball, and then obviously getting the wind in the fourth quarter for the game-winning kick. Offensively, ball control, time of possession, long methodical drives. Obviously, they just handed it to Rico a billion times. And then defensively, it was bend, don't break. They gave up a couple chunk plays over the top, but for the most part, kept it long 8 to 10 play drives. And then they took the ball away twice, and they made Green Bay settle for field goals. Like, that's modern offense. That's modern defense. And that is what everyone around the league should be doing. It should be light boxes, heavy coverages. If you run the ball on me, I don't care. I'm going to make you go the length of the field. Don't throw it over my head for one play touchdowns. And I'm going to spend all week trying to be as good as humanly possible defending the red zone. If you do that, you are going to find yourself in a lot of games in today's NFL.
I think you got to tip your hat to the mental toughness of the Carolina team. I watched them a week ago against Buffalo. In Buffalo, I think they were going to run for 500 yards. I mean, Cook had 220 yards rushing on 15 carries. He was untouched to the end zone 3 times. They got their brains beat in. And now they go on the road at Green Bay. I don't know who the heck some of these guys are on defense, Greg, but this Christian Roseboom guy, I mean, he had 15 tackles, man. And the mental toughness that they showed as a football team going into Lambeau and knocking out Green Bay says a lot about Canales and the character of this team.
Yeah. I
The
called
headline
that Buffalo game. So, I mean, I literally saw Carolina both extremes. I called them at home, get bludgeoned by Buffalo, then follow them on the road and watch them win a game in Lambeau against what a lot of people, including myself, I started the broadcast saying, is Green Bay and Philly, are those the two teams to beat in the NFC? Now you start saying maybe it's Seattle and Philly. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it is.
Seattle looked great.
Green
And
Bay.
Seattle looked great yesterday. We'll get to that game, but the headline game was and I don't even know how you look at it. The Chiefs Bills. The Bills, I don't even think the score really indicated how badly they beat them. I thought the Bills pretty much controlled this game. They win by a touchdown. The question is, does it matter? Because the Bills now 5-0 in the regular season versus the Chiefs. Then you flip it to the postseason, which, by the way, if it started tomorrow, the Chiefs would not be in, I don't think. I don't think anyone here thinks they're going to miss the playoffs. But what do you do with this game? Yeah, it's an important game for Buffalo, but they've already proven they can beat the Chiefs lights out in the regular season. Greg, what do you got here on this game?
Yeah, I think this is what we've seen the last couple of years. I think if you ask Sean McDermott, if you ask Brandon Beane, if you ask Josh Allen, if you ask the powers to be in Buffalo, the expectation behind closed doors is everything. The regular season is a formality. And that's a compliment to what they've done over the last couple of years. All of the time, all of the energy being spent there is how do they get this team to peak, to play winning ball come playoffs. It is get to the Super Bowl time. They are Super Bowl or bust. That's their roster. They got the MVP of the league. They've been a consistent winner, and they haven't been able to get past Kansas City in the playoffs. They think this style of play, the run game, the big personnels, they're offloading some of the, kind of the hero ball off of Josh Allen at times, which I think is going to help them, especially when they get to the playoffs and defense and run game does have a little bit more impact on wins and losses as opposed to the regular season. So yeah, they won't shy away. The reality is everything they're going to be judged upon is how they do in the playoffs, and they've earned that. That's the type of team that they are. That is not the norm across the league. But when you're a team that's a perennial contender and you can't quite get over that next step, that's where all the eyeballs are going to lay. And I didn't catch much of the game, but I had them the week before against Carolina. They looked awesome. And this is a Super Bowl or bust. Can they win in an AFC that maybe is not as strong as we came into the season thinking they were going to be, right? And I think, Baltimore's down. How good are the Chargers? How good are the Broncos? And then obviously Kansas City. So maybe the AFC is down and they got a shot.
They're not even first place in their division right now, Gregory.
The Patriots, I know.
John, what'd you think? Any importance on this win considering what happens in the postseason?
Well, I just think home field advantage is a really important thing in the playoffs. And normally this game at the end of the year will have a lot to do with who has home field advantage throughout. But to your point, Dave, right now Kansas City's got 4 losses. I do think Buffalo sent a message, though, to Kansas City that we ain't going away. I think Joey Bosa is a huge addition for this Buffalo team. And obviously, if Kansas City doesn't get their tackle back, Josh Simmons on the left side, and if Jawan Taylor continues to make penalties on the right side, they're going to have a hard time getting to the championship again and winning it. But I was really impressed with Buffalo, man. This Josh Allen, you talk about the beast of the East. They don't really get it done with receivers on the outside. They lean on Cook. They lean on his scrambling, quick screens to Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid made his presence felt. Buffalo is a hell of a team at home. If they can get home field throughout in the playoffs, I'll still take Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl.
Last question. If you're a fan of these two teams, which team are you waking up more sad and be like, maybe we're not who we thought? The Colts throw their first real dud of the season, losing to, I don't think, a very good Steelers team. A great win for the Steelers. And then the Lions, which to me was an absolute stunner because I do have the Lions in my group of teams that could be a Super Bowl team. Lions lose at home, basically double-digit favorites to J.J. McCarthy in the Vikings. So what was more alarming? Or are we still in the part of the season where things are shifting? I mean, we come on the show and it's like, with the team we're praising one week, we're absolutely dragging a Middle Earth the next. I don't know when that changes, but what loss shocked you or would be like, oh, maybe this team isn't what we thought? Coach, I'll start with you. Colts or the Lions?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say the Lions, honestly, coming off a bye week, playing at home where they've had great success against a quarterback that hasn't even played. And they're playing an opponent that they've had a lot of success again. They have had Minnesota's number, but they didn't get the running game going. They chose to throw a lot of these bubble screens and quick screens, which you like, Dave. And it just didn't ever feel like the Lions got into a rhythm at all. And Minnesota wasn't unbelievable on offense, but I give McCarthy credit, man. He audibled a couple times. He scrambled a few times. Other than the interception, he played a good game. But I'm surprised. You know, Detroit lost 30-17 in Kansas City. Now this loss to Minnesota. They're not the same Lion team they were a year ago.
Greg?
Yeah, I agree. I when I was watching the scores kind of roll in during our game, that game caught my attention. I mean, Indianapolis has been a great story. I think they're playing real ball. I think they're going to be a playoff team. Shane Steichen, if they continue to win, you know, you get into the whole coach of the year, what he's done with Daniel Jones, turning that around from a season ago. But yeah, I agree with Coach. I think the Lions game, I think Minnesota had a lot of noise, a lot of questions swirling around the quarterback position. You know, we find out Carson Wentz has been playing banged up with that shoulder, just kind of bridging the gap till they get JJ McCarthy back off the ankle. And then there was a lot of speculation and rumor about, you know, how committed are they to JJ McCarthy? And, you know, you get mixed reports coming out of Minnesota. So I thought Detroit, for a team that's been in the fire now the last couple of years, been a true contender, been one of the better team, you know, one of the best teams in the NFC, as opposed to Indianapolis, which is kind of the feel-good story right now. They're still kind of getting used to winning again, getting used to being a team that people circle on their schedule to go after. Detroit's been that now for the last couple of years. So yeah, that game surprised me a little bit. I like a lot of what Minnesota did. I had them earlier in the year, and at the time I called some of their early games. I was like, they got a shot here. The defense with Flores is really exotic and aggressive, and they get after you. I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he calls good ball. I kind of faded on him a little bit the last couple of weeks. I didn't think they looked good on either side of the ball, but that was a heck of a statement against a really good Lions team that, again, a lot of people have them, you know, at or near the top of the NFC, along with, you know, Philly and Seattle and, you know, that group.
Yeah, Seattle looked real. We maybe cut them short, but they were dominating last night. And also, I get a good credit to JJ. I don't know if you saw what he wore to the game in his post game, but he had the Sharon Moore blue collar car mechanic JJ blue shirt on. So that Michigan culture floating into the NFL, getting the blue collar work back to W's. Speaking of college, Greg, I think you were all pepped up on Miami earlier in the year. Suffers a second devastating loss. And if you go online, Danny Boy, Kane, and crew, they are not happy with Mario Cristobal. Where I know you played with him, what are your thoughts on the U right now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the reality is the reality. It's disappointing, you know, to now give up two after you find yourself clearly, you know, not only in the hunt to be in the ACC championship and compete for, you know, the first ever conference title, which is hard to believe since they've moved to the ACC. But, you know, it felt like they had a clear path to, you know, making it to the college football playoff. And now with these two losses, I don't know what the future holds. It's disappointing. Obviously, I'm biased. I love Mario as a guy. We go way back. I've known him. He coached me. I've known him since I was a kid. So obviously, I'm always rooting for him. I'm rooting for the school. But the reality is, when you beat Notre Dame and you beat Florida and you beat Florida State and things are rolling high, and when they get to 2 in the country, 3 in the country at the height. So, like, expectations are real, especially at a school like Miami, that people are just dying to officially say, all right, Miami is back to what we know of 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And, you know, it just seems this continues to be the hurdle we just can't get over. We can't sustain that after early season September success. We can't sustain it into the back half of the season. And that's just real. And again, it's not criticism. It's not that we don't like them. I root for them. I pull. But the reality of the college football landscape is it's very competitive. It's real. And you got to come to play every single week. And they haven't been able to do that.
We may have another. Malasek may have to get the Gruden coaching availability board up there and add another school real soon. Coach, you may
wait
have
for an update. When are we going to get an update? I feel like if anybody should get the update, it's us coming on this show.
It should be broken on this show. The big
True.
board. He can live anywhere in the country at this point. There's a new job opening every other day.
Man, Coach, give us something.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say to you guys. All I know is I hear Portnoy's coming to Tampa this weekend. That's all I know for the Tampa Bay two-time world champions coming off their bye. I can't wait to see you, boss.
Bucks, Pats, big game. Listen, everyone polishing Buffalo this, Buffalo that, home field this, home field that. The Patriots have the best record in the NFC, my friends, and we already beat Buffalo on the road in a mark of all great. We didn't play our best football yesterday, but as I was lecturing Brandon and T-Bob in this great league of ours, the NFL, I don't care if you win by 1 or 1,000. It's hard to win in this league, and if you get a win, you take it and you go. That's what the great teams do. So if we beat Buffalo at home, the Super Bowl this is a true story. I was looking up. It's in Santa Clara this year. Back in my heyday, I'd start booking my hotels right about now for the Super Bowl, and I wasn't happy. I think Santa Clara's a lousy Super Bowl city. That's how far advanced I'm looking. I'm looking at travel. So if we beat Buffalo at home, it goes through Foxborough, and that's a place. You know how many times the Chiefs have beaten the Patriots in the playoffs? 0. All right, thanks, guys.
I don't like Santa Clara either. I lost to Super Bowl.
It's a terrible Super Bowl city.
Well, I just hate it because we lost. So I'm holding a grudge because we lost. So
Cam Newton not falling on the fumble.
Relax, Dave.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
See you guys.